Hello and welcome to the Snowflake Data Marketplace session. My name is Travis Kaufman, Product Marketing Director for Data Sharing and Marketplace here at Snowflake. In the next 30 minutes, we'll walk through how retail and CPG companies just like yours are improving their businesses by analyzing third-party data from the Snowflake Data Marketplace. I'm joined here today with three other data experts from companies who provide data relevant to retailers and CPGs: Ibotta, WeatherSource, and SafeGraph. Each of them will share more about their data and run us through a quick demo on how their customers are using their data along with Snowflake to uncover meaningful insights. Now, it's difficult to look anywhere within the business community today and not hear something about the importance of data. A recent report from McKinsey & Company and the World Economic Forum estimates that connecting data across organizations unlocks $3 trillion in annual value. While there may be little debate about the value of data, what we see, having worked with thousands of businesses across the globe, is that companies struggle with data collaboration in a number of key areas. First is the discovery and evaluation of data. If you've ever gone through this process, you'll know that there's a great deal of research required to simply identify what data is out there, let alone determine if it will address your business needs. The second challenge is related to the cost and resources required to access the data. In many cases, businesses will create ETL pipelines, move files around, or develop API-based integrations in order to access data and manage refreshes as they become available. The last challenge really comes down to increases in data governance and compliance. We all want to be good data stewards, but the traditional vehicles of data access limit your ability to govern the data within and across your organization. Now, each of these challenges are addressed with the Snowflake Data Cloud. What you're looking at here is a live visualization of how data is being shared within retail and CPG companies within the data cloud. Each orange dot represents a retailer or a CPG company, and the line between the two dots indicates data being shared between them. As you can see, data sharing is alive and well in this industry. Examples include retailers enabling personalized marketing campaigns by sharing data with their agencies of record. Or the big cluster in the middle shows consumption of COVID-19 health data to help forecast demand and inform supply chain decisions. This secure data sharing is made possible by the Snowflake platform. And what we've done is break down these barriers to data collaboration. Snowflake data sharing isn't limited to a single cloud provider or region, so you can easily share across organization with partners or customers, regardless of which cloud provider or region they may be on. Snowflake not only enables sharing of data, but also shared logic and services. This creates value across the entire data cloud, with the ecosystems supporting one another by providing easy to access in order to augment or enrich data. And lastly, all of this sharing is made secure with a variety of data governance features, including the ability to revoke access to people or organizations that should no longer have access. Now, the secret sauce is our secure data sharing technology. And we've taken a fundamentally different approach to data sharing, which allows data providers to share access to live, ready-to-query data without any ETL work. For data consumers, what this means is that you can access and analyze data faster than ever before. And since you're accessing live data, you no longer need to wait months or quarters for data to be refreshed. You have instant access to the latest data the moment the data provider updates the data set. Now, there are a number of capabilities that we offer on the platform. What's important to call out is that there is a secure data sharing option for every scenario. From sharing directly with another Snowflake customer or a closed group of accounts to even sharing with business partners not yet on Snowflake. Now, I mentioned earlier that data discovery was one of the three challenges inhibiting data collaboration. That's where the data marketplace comes in. The Snowflake Data Marketplace is where you can discover and access over 500 third-party data sets and data services from over 140 data providers. This includes data from open data providers, commercial data providers like Ibotta, WeatherSource, and SafeGraph, as well as data that is collected from other SaaS vendors that your team may be using, giving you access to the most comprehensive set of third-party business data. Now, let me walk you through a little demo to show you how easy it is to access data on the marketplace. All right, so once you've logged into Snowflake, you'll see the marketplace within the data tab. So from here, you've got a few options to discover new data sets. You can browse by category, provider name, or simply type in what you're looking for. You can also filter your results based on listing type. There are data sets which are immediately accessible. Those are the standard listings. The second type of listing is called personalized. This indicates the data is made available by a provider who can personalize the data set before enabling it in your account. So let's search for data by Ibotta. you can see they have two listings. I'll click into the standard listing where I can learn more about the data available, as well as see some example queries. Now, to access this data set, all I need to do is go up here and click View Database. Now, I've accessed this once before, so this will take me directly into the database to where I can run queries. What you would see if you haven't yet accessed it is an icon that says Get Data. Again, by clicking data from here, the database is made available in my Snowflake instance, and I can start analyzing the data set. So let's now hear from the providers themselves. First up, we've got Thomas Benedict from Ibotta.
Thank you, Travis. Very excited to be here alongside WeatherSource and SafeGraph, other awesome data providers, to talk about Ibotta data on Snowflake. I'm Thomas Benedict. I lead the data monetization team at Ibotta. For those who don't know, Ibotta is a leading cashback application with over 40 million registered users. Our users provide purchase data, and in exchange, we give them cash back. So a pretty clear value exchange. Before we launch into how we use Ibotta data on Snowflake Data Marketplace, I just want to talk about the new normal that we're in. Obviously, we're all aware of COVID-19, but how has that really changed shopping behavior? Well, we know it's shifting a lot. There's a lot more pre-shop planning. 41% of consumers have bought groceries online for the first time in the last year. And there's been an 80% increase in shopping through retail sites and apps. So what does that mean? That means we need to use data even more intelligently to target consumers outside of stores, since that's where a lot of the decisions are being made. The second thing we know is that American consumers are strained. There's record levels of unemployment. 55 million people have less than $1,000 in savings, and over 100 million people have household incomes under 50,000. So people are looking for deals in retail stores and on CPG brands, and that's where data can be so helpful. So let's talk about Ibotta. We just gave $1 billion in cash back to our consumers. We crossed that threshold just last week. So we're super excited to be helping that strain and partnering with Snowflake to make our data more available. So what is our data? Our data, we consider it to be the largest deterministic purchase data set in the United States. And we get this deterministic data through registration. We have first-party data. Our users download our app and we get name, age, gender, email, zip code, and of course the mobile ad ID. From a scale perspective, it is the largest set of deterministic data because it's all first party, and we see over 2.5 billion distinct items per year. Finally, of that, as it is a cashback app, 97% of the data is actually not incentivized, and only 3% involves purchases on cashback. Now, there's always SKUs in data sets, but one thing that's great about Ibotta is that for CPG brands, it is retailer agnostic. We have 100% of coverage of major US retailers, including all the big names, you know, Costco, Target, Walmart, et cetera. We get that data either via optical character recognition or by loyalty cards linked within the app. A couple stats on Ibotta: we have over 17 million transactions per month, 7 million monthly active users. 100% of our data is opt-in and compliant. We have 40 million registered app users, 110 integrated retail partnerships, and 5 million linked loyalty cards. Now, how do you get that data? Well, the great news is you can license all this incredible metadata via the Snowflake Data Marketplace that Travis just showed you the Ibotta instance. So from a match key perspective, we provide hashed email, mobile ad ID, and IP address to combat against the deprecation of cookies and the phasing out of IDFAs. In addition to those match keys, you get a host of rich purchase metadata, including granularity down to the UPC level. Now, what do our brand agency and platform clients do with that data? We call it the 3 A's. They use it for various things, including activation use cases, analytics use cases, and finally, attribution use cases. Now, what we love about the Snowflake partnership is that Snowflake has made it so much easier to consume Ibotta data, and that's why you see the proverbial Ibotta customer alongside the snowman. And what does Snowflake do? Well, Travis has already gone into this, so I'm not gonna double click on it too much, but there's fantastic efficiency of eliminating ETL work. The speed which clients can get data is unparalleled. All the data is real time. And then very importantly, as we think about this new legal landscape, the compliance. As soon as an Ibotta processes a CCPA deletion request or an iOS upgrade that results in an opt-out of IDFA, they'll be removed from Snowflake data shares. Now let's talk a little bit about an example about how people have used Ibotta data on Snowflake to improve on their metrics. So this case study is about a tier 1 laundry brand who queried Ibotta data on Snowflake to create custom audiences to try to lower return on ad spend, or sorry, make return on ad spend higher and lower cost per unit moved. So they did this, they created these custom audiences based on competitive brand buyers and based on lapsed buyers of their laundry detergent. They ran display ads across mobile and desktop web, and here are some of the results of the campaign. Over 15 million impressions, 55,000 product sales, 28,000 redemptions on Ibotta's platform, resulting in nearly a 3x return on ad spend and less than a $2 cost per unit moved. Their average cost per unit moved tends to be in the $4 range, so this was almost 100% improvement on that metric. And you're probably wondering yourself, well, how did they know these things happen? Well, the great thing is when you have Ibotta's data on your Snowflake instance, you know exactly who bought what, and that real-time feed shows you the purchasers. And you can use the match keys of made, email, IP address to match impression level data from activation to the actual purchases. So now I'm going to go into a quick demo of how you might actually accomplish this on the Snowflake data marketplace. The key thing here is saying, how do we drive more purchases of, in this example, Lay's potato chips at grocery stores? So first and foremost, you're going to log in and you're going to find the Ibotta data instance. And then you're going to think to yourself, okay, here's my problem. I want to find incremental buyers for the Lay's brand, and I've got all this Ibotta data. So what am I going to do? Well, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to start by querying all transactions of competitive buyers in the past 12 months. And you're going to do that here with a little bit of your code up top. And you're going to get a list of transactions of all of the buyers in your category. In this case, the category is called snacks, cookies, and chips. If you move forward to see a visual representation of this, you'll see millions of transactions across major competitive brands, including Cheetos, Doritos, Fritos, Tostitos, etc. And of course, you can use all these transactions to distill down to individual buyers that you can target for incremental Lay's purchasers. The second query I'm going to talk about is finding lapsed Lay's buyers. So what you can do is a custom query to find anybody who has bought Lay's in the past, but hasn't purchased in the last 6 months. That's what we would determine to be a lapsed buyer. Of course, you can come up with your own definition of lapsed buyer depending on the purchase cycle for your brand. And when we do that, we get a chart of lapsed Lay's buyers by month. And we see anywhere from 280 to 600,000 buyers lapsed in a given month, of course, with a lot of the lapsing here in the middle during the summertime purchasing. So once you have all this data, you can build these custom audiences for activation and go out and target your competitors' buyers, go out and target your lapsed buyers. And then, of course, you can use the real-time feed of data to prove that these people that you impressed with ads went and bought your product. So the summary of the query results is we saw over 10 million Doritos transactions, 7 million Pringles, 9 million Tostitos, and a host of others, creating a large category of incremental category buyers that, of course, Lay's could target. And the second thing we did is we found anywhere from 300,000 to 600,000 lapsed buyers per month, giving you another massive database of people to retarget with advertising to try to bring them back into the Lay's brand. Excited to have you guys experience Ibotta data on Snowflake. That's it for me. Excited to turn it over to Mark at WeatherSource.
All right, well, thank you, Thomas. That was a really great presentation. Hey, everyone, I'm Mark Gibbas, the CEO of WeatherSource, and we're happy to be on this panel today talking about retail CPG. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about WeatherSource to get started. First of all, WeatherSource is the leading provider of weather information to industry. We have a product called On-Point Weather, which is literally weather at any point on the planet. We have that weather information that we develop from satellite information and weather station observations, radar, various weather models. All of that comes into our on-point processing center, where it gets distilled and meteorologically balanced to create the on-point weather that businesses consume day in and day out. What are some of the products that we have? Well, for any point on the globe, we have on-point history, which is hour by hour and day by day weather time series. We have on-point forecasts, which are the on-point version of the weather going forward into time, hour by hour and day by day. We also have on-point forecast history. That can be a little confusing, but this is the forecast that we have archived for the past. So if you need to understand how the forecast is correlating with consumer behavior, we have that information available. We also have on-point climatology. Think of this as the statistics of weather at a point on the planet and at a point in time. So that tells you what the normal temperature is or how much precipitation to expect just based on climatology. Another product we have is OnPoint Geospatial. This is information on a geospatial database where you can have information such as hurricanes and hail and tornadoes and flooding and a whole lot more. So the OnPoint Weather Suite comprises a broad area, a broad product list of weather information that you can bring into your businesses. And of course, it's all available in Snowflake. Well, we have a great use case that we're going to talk about today, and that is the use case of hurricanes and peanut butter. Yes, this is going to get messy. I need to tell you about the data sets we're going to use. First of all, we have hourly peanut butter sales data for the US Southeast region. And this is coming from a Snowflake Premier partner, Seek Data. And I want to say a big shout out to Eric Mitchell for making that available through a Snowflake share. And then we're going to be merging that up with the WeatherSource Extreme Weather Geospatial History and our Forecast History databases. Okay, so I want to set the stage a little bit. First of all, the panel you see here that has the blue dots over Florida and Georgia, this represents peanut butter sales on a typical Saturday morning in the South. And what you see by the size of these dots is kind of representative for what you're going to see later on. Because as the hurricane approaches, these dot sizes are going to change. And that means that the sales of peanut butter is increasing in volume. So we're going to have a lot more sales coming up. The other graphic you see here is the forecast of Hurricane Irma as it's getting ready to kind of move into Florida. So let's go to a video that we have prepared. I'm going to actually stop this video in a couple spots to explain a few things. Right now, what you see is the dots kind of doing their ebb and flow throughout the day, getting quieter at night, picking back up when the buying starts in the morning, and then continuing on. And we go through a couple cycles of this with the days leading up before the hurricane. I'm going to stop it right about here, if I can. And this is, if you can see it, there's a date stamp up here, which is 9/2/2017 at 11 a.m. This is Saturday morning at 11 a.m. And this is typical of what you would see for buying on a Saturday morning when people are out doing their common shopping, getting ready for the next week. As you can see, there's not a lot of activity here. Another thing to point out is notice the scale on Orlando and Jacksonville. Right now, it's about the 600, just shy of the 600 unit level. Let's go forward. You're going to start to see some hurricane forecasts popping up. This is a forecast of the position of the hurricane at 120 hours out. This is being followed by 96 hours out, and they're moving towards Florida. Starting to see an increase in some buying activity. We're going to pause it right about here. Okay, so this is the forecast at 120 hours out, just off the coast of Florida. What we see is Orlando is surging. Before, where it was $600 per hour, now it's over $2,000 per hour. Let's keep it going and find out what else happens next. The forecast is evolving. Forecast actually going up into Georgia now. We're starting to see a decrease in purchasing in Florida. What could be going on there? Let's pause it here and find out. Okay, so now the hurricane is still off the coast of Cuba. It's not going to make landfall into Florida for another 36 hours or so. And yet we don't see any blue dots in southern Florida. That's because all the peanut butter is gone. People have wiped it off the shelves. Let's keep going. And eventually the hurricane makes landfall here in another few hours. works its way up through the Florida area, and then finally up into Georgia. Georgia is also going through some rapid buying of peanut butter. And I'll pause it one more time. Right here, you can see in the Tableau interface that we have this big surge of buying that occurred on September 5th and 6th, whereas landfall didn't actually happen until right around the 9th. All right, so some key takeaways from that. First of all, data sharing in the data marketplace at Snowflake is a huge game changer. It empowers collaboration, and that collaboration leads to wonderful insights. These insights are being used by retailers to develop weather strategies. These weather strategies are being able to produce better inventory management. Better inventory management leads to maximizing product sales. And now I know this was just about hurricanes and peanut butter, but it affects many different items, thousands of items every time there's a weather event. Everything from peanut butter to dry ice to batteries, you name it. Many items are affected. And it's not just hurricanes. It's snowstorms, rainstorms, tornadoes, hail, and other types of weather events. Thank you so much for letting me be part of your day. I'm Mark Gibbas, and it's back to you.
Thanks a lot, Mark. My name is Mike Morrow, and I oversee technology partnerships at SafeGraph. Today, we're going to be talking about how retail and CPG companies can use SafeGraph for site selection, assortment planning, and market intelligence. We'll then walk through a case study and jump to a demo. Let's start with the SafeGraph products. Today, we offer a variety of products through the Snowflake data marketplace. Going left to right, we have core places. This is our points of interest or POI product. Think all non-residential places, restaurants, retail stores, parks, warehouses, airports, etc. Additionally, these come with associated attributes such as brand association, business category, NAICS code, and more. Next to core places, we have geometry, which is our building footprint data. You can think of this as essentially a polygon or precise outline of a given POI. And this is critical for the third piece, which is foot traffic. So the accurate polygons are very important for attributing foot traffic to a given POI. So our places patterns product is foot traffic metrics associated with a given POI. This data is aggregated and doesn't include any PII. We break down the cohort of visits associated with a place by a variety of things. So we can break down that cohort by the census block group from which those visits originated. Census block group is a little bit more granular than a zip code for context. We also break it down by associated visits. For example, if people who stop at a Home Depot also visit a Dunkin' Donuts and Rite Aid, for example. Additionally, we include information around the aggregated dwell time for those visits. Talking about how this is used for CPG and retail analytics, let's start with understanding markets and consumers. So how are my competitors situated within a particular area? You can think of, for the example of coffee shops, is this particular tract of land include a lot of coffee shops? What is my proximity as a business to the nearest coffee shop? How popular are my locations or locations where I'm stocked if I'm a CPG company compared to competition? And lastly, where are people moving throughout the day? Where are they coming from? Where else do they go? Where else do they go or visit? Moving to site selection and assortment planning. So site selection for retail, really which locations meet criteria for expansion or which location should we consider shutting down. On the CPG side, how much of my product should I stock at a particular location? Can I forecast the demand for a particular product? Let's say peanut butter, to riff off Mark's example, stocking peanut butter at Wawa before the storm. And lastly, where should I position from a supply chain perspective, perhaps like a distribution center to kind of get ahead of forecast demand? Now we're going to switch gears into a case study, which I think is a really, really interesting one. So Volta Charging, they needed help determining where are the best places to locate new charging stations. And Volta offers an ad-supported charging station that get placed outside of high-end retailers. And Volta aims to drive an uptick in visits as well as dwell time for those retail partners. Volta was able to use SafeGraph's data sets as well as Snowflake to better understand the concentration as well as the popularity of certain businesses that meet their criteria across various geographies. That ultimately informed their decisions on where it makes the most sense to locate. Using SafeGraph and Snowflake, they reported some pretty impressive results, including 5x the number of visits to partner companies compared to competitors, as well as 75 million miles of free electric driving added. So we're going to now shift into our demo, which is going to feature three data products from Snowflake's marketplace. One is SafeGraph Core Places, one is SafeGraph Patterns, and then the third one is US Census data. I mentioned before with SafeGraph Patterns that we can take that cohort of visits and we can attribute the origin at the census block group of those visits. So we'll be joining that census and patterns data together in order to build trade areas around leading retailers within the Philly market. So again, let's talk peanut butter. Say we're a high-end peanut butter CPG company, and we're trying to determine where in Philly we want to be. All right. So let's drill into our top store by foot traffic. So we're looking at the store in Philly, which is a Walmart, which has the most foot traffic within our slice of 4 months. And we can see the number of visits in our panel. And because we're enriching our trade area with census data, not only can we see from what census block groups are we bringing in visits to this Walmart, which is the north of Philly, as well as coming in from New Jersey, but we can also weight those visits by the median income of those respective census block groups. We'll also look at how our stores trend over time with this bump chart, so we can see the rank of Walmart compared to the other top 10 across these 4 months. If we drill into the second Walmart store, we can see we're moving from north to south. We can see that the weighted median income dropped a bit for the second Walmart store. We can also look at both Walmarts together and see that with only 2 stores, Walmart can serve just a ridiculous amount of people in the Philly region. We can compare that to Target. We can compare that to a Wawa store. And taking a step back and maybe drilling into all Walmarts, we could see that there are 4 Walmarts in Philly proper. We can see the total visit count and we can see the weighted median income. Compare those numbers of 23,000 and 44,000 if I round up to Target. And we can compare that and see 26,000 and 52. So the weighted median income of Target is a step above the weighted median income of the Walmart visits, and the foot traffic is more or less the same. Let's check out Wawa, and anyone familiar with Philly knows that everyone is a Wawa fanatic. We can see that the visit count is basically the sum of Walmart and Target for our 4-month stretch. And the weighted median income is fairly similar to the Target, but Wawa is achieving this visit count across many more stores at 41 stores in Philly proper compared to Target's 11 and Walmart's 4. So if the CPG brand, which is our luxury peanut butter company, wants to serve a higher weighted median income bracket, as well as get a foothold across the city through many stores, perhaps Wawa would be their best choice. So my call to action would be check out the SafeGraph listings and the Ibotta and WeatherSource listings in the data marketplace. Join the data together, have some fun, and I'll pass it back to you, Travis.
Well, thank you, Mike. Now let me close this out by thanking all of our presenters today for illustrating how retail and CPG companies are leveraging third-party data through the Snowflake data marketplace. Now, if you're interested in learning more, I welcome you to log into Snowflake today and explore the marketplace. And if you have questions about any of the data sets that you've seen today, you can get connected with the provider simply by requesting their data set from the marketplace, and a member of their team will reach out to you to answer your question. Thanks again, and enjoy the rest of today's sessions.